Wow, I'm so late to the party, but I don't care because I need to get this video out anyway because this is important. This is an important topic that we really need to talk about. I'm going to ask you all the question. Have you experienced Dread? Have y'all played Metroid Dread? If you're watching this video, you're probably speculating, should I get Metroid Dread? I don't know. I mean, the game looks fun, but it's only 10 hours long and it's $60. Like, bro, have you experienced Dread? Have you played the game and gotten the experience of what it is? Because I will tell y'all right now, Metroid Dread came out 2-3 weeks ago. October 8th, 2021. And when that game came out, it came out swinging. Had me terrified, shaking in my boots, playing the Let's Play on the channel. I'm like, bro, I keep dying to every boss. Every time I think I'm cold, now I keep dying. Wow, I jumped clean back into it. I was out of the way. I can't wait to show y'all this death compilation, bro. It's freaking amazing. The game came out. Metroid Dread is the 5th entry in a 35-year-old story, but it carries the legacy of its predecessors with excellence. There's no question about it. Metroid Dread, the first Metroid I played was 2 years ago, and it was Super Metroid. Y'all know Super Metroid. Y'all know Super Metroid is that game. Literally, it's one of the greatest video games of all time. It's that, they call it that for a reason. I went back and played it using the Virtual Console on the Nintendo Switch. It's a Super Nintendo Entertainment System video game, and it's old as hell. But the game is so fire. It's undeniable. They were making these games like 20-30 years ago. And some of these Super Nintendo Entertainment System titles are better than the games that come out nowadays. How? How, bro? It took them like $5,000 to make these games, bro, and they got millions of dollars to make games nowadays. Can't even outdo it. Metroid Dread carries the legacy of all these classic video game series. Metroid is the series with 1,000 classics, and nobody talks it like it doesn't come up. It doesn't come up. Metroid Dread has changed that though. It has sold the most copies in the whole entire franchise. The game has barely been out for 2 weeks, 3 weeks. It sold the most copies. That is, this is a renaissance for Metroid. And we can all rejoice because this video is going to be celebrating Metroid Dread. And if you love Metroid, then you're going to go ahead, throw a thumbs up on this video, because I'm not going to say anything that will disrespect the legacy of Metroid, because I have no reason to. I played 2, maybe 3, maybe 4 Metroid games, never beat any of them. Super Metroid and Metroid Dread were the only ones I really played. And Metroid Dread the only one I beat. And I'm looking back, sitting back thinking about these games, dude, and I'm like, wow. These games are really fire. They really fire, and it's not even a question about it. This game, Mercury Steam and Nintendo did not cut corners. The game is only 10 hours long. For $60, you get a $60 experience in 10 hours. It does not overstay its welcome. And you can't, or rather you should not, hold Metroid Dread for only being 10 hours. If you haven't experienced Dread, then you can't even speak about it. You can't even speak about it. If you're not going to put the $60 down for a 10-hour game, and you're going to get a $60 experience, and then you can just move on with your day and think back when you at work, taking a shower, cooking, babysitting, walking your dog to the park, you're going to school, you're driving in traffic, and then the traffic backed all the way up, and just sitting there, you thinking like, dang, Metroid Dread was really that. It was really that game, bro. It was really a cold game the whole time. And then it hits you like, damn, I have experienced Dread. And then you turn around on YouTube, on Instagram, Facebook, everything. You like, man, did y'all play Metroid Dread? Y'all should play Metroid Dread because it's fire. They should. Like, everybody should play this game, just experience it. So the first thing I want to talk about in terms of why I consider Metroid Dread such a good game, I want to talk about the visual presentation. I I definitely, when I was playing Metroid Dread, I really peeped like the importance that Mercury Steam and Nintendo wanted to put on Metroid Dread being that experience. As I said before, have y'all experienced Dread, the title, the set pieces and like boss fights during like a counter attack or during the end of the boss fight, the set pieces and the light that they show Samus in, they really wanted to hammer home the point that Samus is that chick. This is video game royalty that y'all are experiencing. I'm going to put a clip up right here because I want y'all to see what I'm talking about. So, the cinematography of this game is honed and focused to such an extent that you understand the gravitas of the situation you and Samus are in. There is a section of the game when you're moving between Artaria and Cataris. I believe it's Artaria and Cataris. You run across a bridge. The bridge is like a hollow tube, and as you move across it, the camera zooms out. It reveals to you some type of lava spiral in the back, and you're hovering above a whole fiery lava area and zone. You're hovering above it. How does that work? The danger and mystery of this world will test you and Samus. The sequence is dreadfully grand. Will you persevere through it and triumph? In perseverance, you will need a large part of this game's marketing covered the Emmy sections. Do not worry, I won't spoil any later Emmy visually or with voice, but I am going to put up clips of the first Emmy that you encounter and me running around going through all that and being terrified. During my time with the game, I attributed the Dread and Metroid Dread to these enemies. These sections were legitimately horrifying at times, and failing to elude them, knowing that Samus is largely helpless in their grasp, encapsulates that ever-lingering sense of dread. These sections are denoted visually by a film grain filter and the noticeable draining of color from the game. Artistically, the visual effects can be interpreted as that sense of hopelessness in isolation while being pursued by enemies that you stand nearly no chance against. Emerging from the other side of an enemy zone is like capturing that ray of hope, freedom from fear, and a brief diminishing of dread, if only for a short while. Wow, okay, yep, I'm gonna have to juke him right here. Y'all ain't got no choice. He on me, bro. He on me. Whoa! Open the door. Get through there. Yep. Oh, nope. Turn back around. Yep, going through here. Golly, man. So, the next part of Metroid Dread that I want to touch on is its story and how it works. Metroid Dread's story is exploration driven. You progress through the story of Metroid Dread in the game by exploring. That is how Dread unravels its story. The journey, the lostness, the aimless wandering is the story of Dread. This is a Metroidvania game, people. You may not know how these work, but don't worry, I got y'all. It's okay, trust me, I got y'all. Essentially, a Metroidvania unravels its story via player exploration. In these games, the more you explore, the further you can progress with the story. That's pretty simple, right? It's like a self-feeding cycle. It's so simple that you're probably like, no way, that's whack, that's hella whack, it's trash. What the freak is this game? But listen, y'all, that's not the case. Where you don't get 1, heavy story dumps, 2, extended cutscenes, and 3, repetitious filler content, you get food for thought. Metroid Dread, like Metroidvanias that its mothers and fathers inspired, provide sections of gameplay for the mind enhanced to work through. You get puzzles, dexterity tests, smorgasbords of enemy encounters that sometimes you're going to be looking back like, this is ridiculous. And then you die and come back to that area. You like, oh, this enemy encounter was so easy. I'm surprised I didn't figure this out the first time. Metroid Dread is a video game that tests you on the materials and capabilities that you find in game. And so you feel as though you're growing with Samus, studying what she has done for 35 years. I mentioned 35 years earlier in the video. This story is a 35-year-old story. And so, when you get extended cutscenes and story dumps in Metroid Dread, they are well received. The pacing of the story cannot fail with a formula like this, unless the player gives up. Don't give up, y'all. Keep pursuing. When y'all get Metroid Dread, if y'all haven't played it, y'all played it but you haven't beaten it yet, don't give up. Keep trying. Keep trying to get through the game. You'll get there. You'll figure it out eventually. All you have to do is just explore, like I'm saying. Have you experienced Dread? The game is short. It's approximately 10 hours. But it gives you a cinema classics worth of dynamism. For that, Metroid Dread story did not miss. Okay, so we are coming to the end of this Metroid Dread, this review section that I'm doing at the end of this video. We're coming to a close, and what better way to end the review than by talking about gameplay. For those of you who are familiar with Metroidvanias, you know that they really become superb games. They stand out at the point where their gameplay reaches that excellence and well-crafted level. And I'm glad to say that Mercury Steam did not miss here. I know I mentioned earlier in the story section about how the story of Metroid Dread is really the journey that you go on with Samus. And for Metroidvanias, exploration and journey is very important. That's critical. And they did that. Like, if you're keeping up with the Let's Play on my channel, or you want to go check it out, you'll actually see that there are 2 episodes of Metroid Dread on my channel called Lost and Confused in Dread. And I think the second one did the best. It's like the 3rd most viewed Metroid Dread video on my channel, and all I'm doing, I'm barely making any progress through the zones and areas I'm going in. I'm just stuck. Like, I have no idea what's going on, but I kept going. And in those sections of the game, those were some of the funnest, like, food for thought type of sections, where I'm literally running around the game just thinking, just talking, like, where could they want me to go next? I have no idea. And that feeling, if you stick with it, and when you finally found out, oh wow, I know where to go next now. I know where to go next. It just clicks to you. It clicks, right? And that's superb. Metroid Dread gives you that feeling in spades. It's not a game that really, it doesn't hold your hand as much as some other games may do. And that's not always a bad thing. But in the case of something like Metroid, where it's almost legacy, for it to be, okay, we're going to expect you to get lost and not know where to go, but just keep exploring, keep trying to figure it out, you'll get there. For me, that is one of the coolest things that Metroid Dread does. And I don't know if it's coming from age, but I'm starting to enjoy, like, exploring in video games more. Yeah, it could be age, but when it comes to gameplay, Metroid Dread is nothing to scoff at. This game is perhaps one of the most responsive games that you can play on the market. How many of you all have played Super Smash Bros. Ultimate? Okay, if you have, now imagine Power Suit Samus from Smash Bros. Ultimate, but with the agility of Zero Suit Samus from Smash Bros. Ultimate. That's how Samus feels in this game, and it is so awesome. Mercury Steam has managed to capture the agility, power, and cunning of Samus in this game effortlessly. Seriously, y'all, like, Samus moves in this game like how I wanted my action figures to move as a kid. This game, in the way that it feels, in the way that Samus responds to player input, the way that her animations look, she's like an action movie hero. She's like a full budget fighting Naruto Shippuden. Like she moves like that, and it's rad. And in that way, this game really makes you feel like Samus. I know, it makes you feel like Samus, the #1 bounty hunter in the galaxy, and you get that power fantasy. Even from the beginning of the game, when you get physical amnesia, which, you know, it's a convenient like story device, but even from the point of you not even being able to charge up a blast, you still feel like, I can go fight the final boss right now. I feel like the #1 bounty hunter in the galaxy, and I have barely any of my iconic moves. I can't even morph into the ball yet. And another thing I want to mention that I heard somebody else say when they were playing Metroid Dread, a content creator by the name of Maximilian Dude played Metroid Dread recently, and he said something that I thought was very interesting, and I didn't peep it when I was playing the game. Based off of the things I did peep, it's definitely an observation I agree with. Maximilian Dude spoke about how Samus interacts with the environment and how well illustrated it is, because it is. Seriously, like, Samus wall flips, climbs, replenishes her resources, handles enemies, and controls all like a gem. Like I said, it's like the A-list action hero that she is, and it's frankly superb. During like boss fights, quick time action sequences, like, she really gets down and dirty with the boss enemies. She's flipping around, she's jumping and climbing all on their body, blasting them in the top of their head with the arm cannon, flipping off of them, and going right back down to, okay player, it's your time to really control me now. And it's just seamless the way it flows, and it's always so cool looking. It really reminds me of set pieces from a God of War game, for example. And last but not least, because as I mentioned earlier in the video, I have to talk about the gameplay as it involves the enemies. I played Resident Evil 2 Remake about 3 months after it came out, and I love the game, and one of my favorite things about it, and it was my first time really ever experiencing it in a video game, to have an enemy that pursues you, like, it actively goes around and tries to like hunt you down and, you know, give you a game over. That is essentially what the enemy are. Now, that's not necessarily just what they're trying to do if you look at it from the story perspective, but from a gameplay perspective, they're essentially a pursuing enemy that's going around and trying to give you a game over screen. But there are slight differences in how they did it in Resident Evil 2 Remake and how it's done in Dread. In my opinion, it's mostly for the better, because in Metroid Dread, you run across multiple types of enemy, and they all have different attributes. That causes you to tackle them and switch your approach up as you progress through the game further, and you'll be more capable of dealing with these new enemy, but not necessarily to the point that you'll just be able to completely nullify them and make them irrelevant. It'll never get to that point. It's scaled very well, but if you pay attention and really try to outwit the enemy, it really pays off, and it gives you that sense of accomplishment that Metroidvanias, I feel like, hit their peak when they strive for that sense of accomplishment, whether it's a combat encounter, exploration, even the story, the lore behind it. Those things, especially the first two, is where I really put Metroidvanias into like a top tier list. Or like I start giving them like 9 out of 10s and etc, etc. If I had to give one con about these enemies, is that I feel like they definitely should have doubled down on the length of certain enemy sections and made them just longer, like even making them more cinematic, putting more cinematics into them, making them more intense in terms of their duration, like dragging them out. But for what they have here, if they plan on bringing something kind of like this back in Metroid Prime 4, I'll definitely be here for it. And without a doubt, you all, make no mistakes, the rumors that you probably heard are true. The enemy are no joke. Seriously, if I had to contrast them, the enemy are far more effective at harassing the player than Mr. X was. And for that, I definitely think Mercury Steam and Nintendo made a good choice in marketing this game heavy based around the enemy feature. So yeah, wow, that's the end of the video about my history with the Metroid series, the little mini review I did for Metroid Dread, and talking about how much I really enjoyed the game, dude. And I definitely hope I didn't give off the air that I was trying to look down or talk down on anybody who maybe didn't like Dread as much as I like Dread, or whoever else liked Dread a whole bunch. You know, I'm definitely not trying to get off that air, but I did, y'all. I really like Dread, and this type of video is really what I wanted to have my YouTube channel feature, you know, like content that is built up from the ground up, because this is the first video I've ever really built up from the ground, instead of just like recording footage and then put it into a video editing software and all the audio and the visuals are already there. I had to go scour the web and find these clips, or go back to my Let's Play series for Dread and then go get those clips. It was really a difficult process, and I hope I didn't do terrible. I hope I did not do terrible, but you know, I did the best I could, and in doing those Let's Plays and editing those Let's Plays, it definitely made this more so possible. I tried to start off with video editing in YouTube with a video that would be built like this, but I couldn't do it because I didn't have any idea what I was doing with the video editing software. But so this is my first review on the channel. I've been playing Metroid Dread on the channel. If you all want to see somebody play Metroid Dread blind, go ahead and click my channel, subscribe and like if you haven't already. Hit the bell notification. You will find the Metroid Dread Let's Play on there, and there are only 3 more episodes to drop, and I'm predicting that the final episode will be released, if not Sunday, it will be Monday. It may even be Tuesday, but I don't want Tuesday to be the day it drops. But I hope you all enjoyed the review, and maybe now you'll consider picking up Metroid Dread and experience it, man. Like, have you experienced Dread? I'm going to end the video with that question. Have you experienced Dread? Thanks for watching, y'all. Peace. And stay tuned for a little bonus content at the end of the video, just for me to show how much I'm standing for Metroid Dread. So yeah, I'll see y'all later. Peace. Yo, so look, we're just going to say this. I'm going to say this now and say it here, and I won't say it again. Metroid Dread is going right up there with the greatest. It's going right up there with Metal Gear Solid for me. Metal Gear Solid for XCOM 2, Monster Hunter, World, Iceborne, Devil May Cry 5, Dragon Ball Z, Tenkaichi 3, Kingdom Hearts 2 Final Mix, Dark Souls 3, Cuphead, Yakuza 7 Like a Dragon, Tekken Tag 2, Zelda, Resident Evil 2 Remake, Red Dead Redemption 2, Devil May Cry 3. I said Zelda, I meant to say Zelda Breath of the Wild. Metroid Dread is going up there with them. Do y'all see this? Bro, how do I zoom in? Do y'all see this, bro? Do y'all see this? This is the tier list. Metroid Dread has earned its spot amongst the greatest. Some of my greatest video games of all times, and that's the tier list. If we can argue in the comments, y'all want to argue about it, we can. We can argue in the comments, but I'm telling y'all, it's up there. Don't argue with me, bro, because it's not going to work. You're not going to win. I don't care. But seriously, though, Metroid Dread is a rad game, and it's up there with them. It's up there with all those games.